I love Pet Sounds. It's a classic. I love Pet Sounds, I really do. But what I hate are pet peeves. Don't they drive you nuts?
Well, shit, we're back on the podcast, and it's been a month, 2 months maybe, I guess, because it was 2 months ago that we released an episode. So, hey, how about that? We're back. Consistently inconsistent. That's what we are.
But what are we back with, Jordan?
Well, we're back with a new podcast, and today we are talking about...
But what is the name of the podcast, Jordan?
Oh, our podcast? It's been so long. Yeah. It's been so long, I don't know.
That's what you do at the beginning of an episode.
All right, everybody, welcome back to A Musician and a Filmmaker. It's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute. It's been a hot 2 months. Not here in Canada, but somewhere probably it's been hot for the past 2 months.
It's been hot and cold, yes and no, in and out, up and down, etc., etc.
Everything. And also nothing.
Yes.
So we are back from the nothingness to bring you everything, which is going to start today with us talking about an album that is quite shocking that we haven't talked about before, considering, well there's a lot of, you know, what's the right word here? Connective tissue, let's say, to some of the music that we, you know, like to listen to. So anyway, I'll stop being weird.
Like G.G. Allen.
Yeah. Today we're talking about Pet Sounds, the album by the Beach Boys. You've heard of them. Everyone's heard of them.
Are they the ones that wrote the NASCAR album as a salute to the United States military?
I don't know.
The answer is yes, it is. See, the thing about the Beach Boys is that it's kind of like in that Star Trek episode that from The Next Generation, where there's two different timelines of the same ship on top of each other, and they're like constantly both getting destroyed because of the phasing. That's kind of what the Beach Boys dynamic was like, where there was Brian Wilson's The Beach Boys and Mike Love's The Beach Boys, and they were just colliding constantly. Well, up until Brian's death, unfortunately. So, fuck Mike Love is how we're going to start this out, because this is the album where things took a turn for the history of the Beach Boys. And he is infamously quoted as saying, "Don't fuck with the formula," in regards to just doing like Surfing USA for the fifth time, as opposed to like a genuine expression of the soul. What's more important than babes, beaches, 1950s cars, surfboards? Did I mention the surfboards and surfing?
I see both sides.
Probably.
I see both sides of it.
Whoa. Okay, maybe the autofocus wasn't the best call.
No, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
it tripped me out. It made me think that my eyes were going out of focus.
Look, man, no amount of blurry focus is going to get over the fact that I cut myself while shaving earlier. So the audience is going to need to see the Band-Aid in full
my question is, though,
focus.
Is the scab bigger or more noticeable than the Band-Aid?
No, there's actually a pimple that's like right where the Band-Aid ends.
Oh, did you cut the pimple open while you were shaving?
No, I was trying to cut around the pimple, but then I did it like in a weird sideways. I went down the stream instead of across it. And that was so.
Jeez. Well,
but I was trying to channel G.G. Allen for the next episode.
Oh, yeah?
So,
yeah, rub some shit on it.
Well, you see, I've got this because it's Easter when we're recording it. So, you know, you never know.
You gotta let it melt.
Speaking of the opposite of shit.
Yeah, while we're in the positive, like, side of the spectrum of life and things.
No, it's like that, you know, that meme where it's like the two people are on the opposite sides of the car, and like one is facing the mountain and one is facing the like sun, and one is the doomer and one is the optimist. Did I say dooner or doomer? I meant to say
I don't know
doomer.
what you said. Because I don't
know
know
what
what
meme I'm talking
memes
about.
are.
You
I don't know.
old
I don't know what memes are. Hey, you know what? Speaking of old, 1966. What a long time ago. You know, I was thinking about this the other day.
We haven't talked about anything from that year in at least 2 months.
Well,
it's another 60th anniversary.
Yeah, you're right.
And I mean, we technically could have waited until next month to do the 60th anniversary, but we didn't have any other ideas for this month, so.
Yeah, we did.
However, what did you want us to talk about instead?
I want to do a double Sky Fury era.
Oh, right.
Because I had this idea when I was watching. What was it?
No, but you also wanted us to watch The Green Inferno as part of that.
Well, no,
And
yeah,
so
that was
you wanted
that
us
was
to
the
do
Sky
an entire album discussion about her, but then also talk about a movie where she's in it for 2 minutes.
5 seconds. Well, she's only in any movie she's ever been in for 5 seconds. That's why I wanted to talk. I wanted to kind of touch on the mythical being that is Sky Ferriera. You know, I mean, you touched on this, Greg. We're talking about it anyway right now. The Sky Ferriera has a like a big name. You know, people know her, but then when you look at what she's done, you're like, why? The album is phenomenal. It's like
It's
one of
because she's a
the
beautiful
best.
woman and people appreciate beauty. Outer
It
and
must,
inner.
it must be it. It must be it. But the album's really good. But she,
you know
yeah,
who's
she's
also
not a great actress.
You know who's also an angel sent down from the heavens? Brian Wilson.
Mm,
And some would argue that Pet Sounds is a Brian Wilson solo album.
Right.
Aside from the vocals, of course. But
right. Everyone's singing on this one. And there's a lot of musicians on this too, like session musicians and guest appearances by
Crew,
people
famous.
and animals.
Yes. Well, first of all, you brought up the fact that we haven't talked about it yet, and yet we're almost at our 3-year anniversary. And I just want to point out that we weren't the first to start an Animal Collective podcast. Therefore, we couldn't have also been the first to talk about Pet Sounds. We kind of had to we had to wait till the other show didn't exist anymore to talk about it.
And here we are.
Well, here the problem...
Last man standing.
Look, Pet Sounds is a phenomenal album. I can already just spoiler alert. It's amazing if you don't know, but it's a like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Where if you haven't heard it, listen to it. If you have heard it and you don't like it, fuck you. So that being said, I take issue with the fact that people are always comparing Panda Bear's voice to Brian Wilson's and Pet Sounds being so close in style to Animal Collective and Smile, of course, which Jordan opted to not talk about.
Well, we will. We probably will at some point, but I feel like
it's going to come up during this discussion. I mean, the two albums are like they're tied together. I mean, this was their peak of the psychedelia, or at least when anyone was paying attention. Maybe they made. Okay, the problem is with the post-Smile albums is that they all just reuse the songs that never got put onto a finished Smile. So therefore, we're stuck with it.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So for as long as Animal Collective have been featuring Panda on vocals, the comparisons have existed.
I like that you phrase that like he's always a feature artist, like Animal Collective featuring Panda Bear daily routine.
Well, he wasn't like doing vocals on Spirit They're Gone, so like there's no Beach Boys mentioned. I don't think in that
Technically, that wasn't an Animal Collective album. That was Amy Terry and Panda Bear.
Technically, Panda Bear was there, and
technically,
technically and literally, Panda Bear was there. But I think every album review that every reviewer has ever done of a Animal Collective album that contains vocals by Panda Bear has made some sort of comparative reference to the Beach Boys.
And that's because they use harmonic vocals.
Yes, harmonies.
More than one
layers.
Singer. And it's in a certain range.
Yes.
That's it. That's the only reason. There's like
however,
that and the psychedelia connection.
There are similarities, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to say that there are not any. Like I can get why somebody would listen to the Beach Boy, or if someone listens to the Beach Boys. It also doesn't help
that if you put a picture of Brian Wilson at age 21 and a picture of Noah Lennox at age 21 right by each other, and you didn't say which was which, you might make them both black and white, I guess. But yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. I see the similarities. However, like they are fairly limited similarities, but it's one of these like ongoing jokes in the Animal Collective fan community.
The Beach Boys on acid.
Exactly. It's always the same thing. So here we are talking about Pet Sounds, and it's funny because like listening to this album and thinking about how long ago it was, 1966, and thinking about like what kind of music it did inspire, and inevitably,
and that it was inspired by.
That it was inspired by. Inevitably, it did inspire artists that would, become like Animal Collective and shit. But
I'm also just a big Beatles head, so I can't let this episode go any further without pointing out that this was sort of a direct response to Revolver.
Revolver? I thought it was
Revolver.
Rubber
Was also 65. It was Revolver, then Pet Sounds, then Sgt. Pepper's, then Smile. So,
jeez Louise.
Yeah, they were. Fair enough. It was a big psychedelic rock.
There's a lot of
changing dick measuring contest. and we're
lot
all
of
the better
Beatles
for it as a
influence.
culture.
A lot of Beatles influence, and then we'll talk about that a bit because there's a number of tracks that famously Paul McCartney was like, what would he say? Blimey. I don't know, something like that, something British. But he was impressed by a number of the tracks. Which, why don't we get into the, let's just fucking get into it, man.
I just want to say it. He has repeatedly, even I think within the last few years, said that God Only Knows is the greatest song ever written, in his opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's that far off, but
I have notes. I made some notes for this episode, and
I don't
literally,
need 10 years ago, I was so obsessed with this album that, like, listening back to it, you start to, like, realize that you've missed 2 or 3 songs because it's so ingrained into like your frontal lobe. I don't know how the brain works, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, one of the lobes, the frontal or the backle.
Welcome to the Two Lobes podcast.
When I was writing notes track by track, and then when I got to God Only Knows, like within like 2 seconds, this is the first note that I wrote was like, maybe the best song ever written. And then I was like looking online, and then I saw that Paul McCartney has famously said that it's the best song ever written. And I was like, that's exactly what I just said.
And you said, oh my God, I need to watch HBO's Big Love to hear that song over and over again.
No, thank you. I said what I said to myself was, I said, me and Paul McCartney are on the same wavelength. And then I sat there with a big shit-eating grin on my face for 30 seconds.
And then your wife was like, shut up.
She's like, what are you doing? Just standing there smiling. And I was like, it's too much to explain.
She's like, well, why are your pants off? Why is your dick hard?
Why are you naked?
Because it's, whenever I drum, it's too uncomfortable if there's fabric between me and the seat.
Which is a story for another day.
Well, the same day, but I guess for the viewer, it's
for
a
the
different
listeners.
day.
For the listeners, you have to wait a little bit to understand.
Listeners
the magic
are
of Dino the
obsolete.
drummer.
Viewers, however, is what I care about. If you're not looking at this Band-Aid on my face, I don't want your support.
For our listeners that are audio only, Greg has a gigantic pimple that he's concealing with an even more obvious Band-Aid. This is like one of those things. It's like that cold sore medication. This just like highlights the cold sore. You may as well just get like a fluorescent marker.
Well, what would you rather look at? Would you rather look at the Band-Aid or would you rather look at the scab?
I don't know. What does the scab look like? I'm curious now. Unveil it.
Look, I only have so many of these little dot-sized Band-Aids left. I'm not going to waste one just so that you can see.
Pet sounds. So wouldn't it be nice if we started talking about this album?
Probably, but we're not going
to. The first note I have wouldn't it be nice?
Let me show the audience. The viewers specifically. This is my 50th anniversary Pet Sounds tour shirt.
Beautiful. Look at that color in the BW. Nice.
But I saw him in Atlanta, September of 2016. He
ATL,
looked very exhausted because he was already like 30 tour dates in at age like 70 something. I was probably one of the youngest people in that audience. Everyone around me was absolutely a baby boomer. But yeah, that was like perfectly timed because I was like getting into the Beach Boys and Pet Sounds in a big way. Love and Mercy was the greatest movie I'd ever seen up to that point, and it's just it's a cultural phenomenon decades later. Every time it comes up, people are like, "Fuck yeah, Pet Sounds."
I love Pet Sounds.
Except for the snobs, of course, but
so
they'll be the first
I should also
go.
mention that, like, I think Greg, you're gonna be able to manage this technical wizardry in post, but there's an audio clip from a live performance of Daily Routine where Mr. Noah gets a little frustrated with his gear and blurts out a certain phrase, if you can call it that. Fuck off. So we're gonna play that every time that we make a Panda Bear reference while we talk about this album today. Just to sort of try and tap into, I guess.
What if you spend all this time setting up this bit and then it just doesn't happen? So I just have to edit this part out.
I mean, that could be the case too, but I think it'd be really good if this works out. But we're trying to basically tap into the spirit of Panda Bear, Mr. Noah Lennox, and how he would feel every time that we make some sort of comparison to him while we talk about this album. Anyway, with that being said, Wouldn't It Be Nice is the first track. And my first note, Greg, when I listened to this song, it took me about 3 seconds. I wrote, this might be the best song ever written. Yeah. And,
but you already this was the first out of 13 times you wrote that down for this album?
I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it might not be the last time you hear me say that.
Well,
so,
it's already not the first time we've heard you say it in this episode.
No, but I wasn't
so
expecting us to talk about
that. Yeah, well,
the other song.
You weren't. We're on episode 45. You know how this podcast goes. We have the concept of structure, a linear structure, but we end up just going full Chris Nolan and jumping all over the place.
Completely unhinged. So, Wouldn't It Be Nice is maybe the best song ever written. And you know what the thing is with this song, though, is it's so fucking happy, you know? Like, it's like, I don't know if there's a song that's happier than that. Like, I used to tell my friends that, you know, reggae music is like the happiest form of music ever. Like, if you are feeling shitty, just like think of any reggae song in your head and you can't like be upset. I think that's why all these people that are like, they live on the islands and stuff are like, they're just vibing all the time because it's just like, there's something about that music that just like brings out the light in your soul, you know? And I think that Wouldn't It Be Nice is the best example of music doing that outside of the genre of reggae music and not sounding at all like reggae music. It is, it's so fucking bright and cheery that it's like Icarus flying so close to the burning hot sun of cheesiness, you know? But it doesn't get cheesy. It's just like, it's just there. It's like, if this got any happier, it would be cheesy. But somehow it just manages to fucking skate the line.
As the saying goes, it ain't easy being cheesy. But Brian Wilson was pretty good at it. You got to give him credit.
True.
But that's, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, this is the Beach Boys we're talking about. I feel like you could apply that to all of them and it would still make sense because this was the 60s. That's just what you did. You made cheesy love songs. But Pet Sounds is unique in that it wasn't the first to sort of embrace the album structure and like the concept album and whatnot. I mean, Smile obviously leaned a lot more into that. But it was the first time that the Beach Boys did it as opposed to just like, here's a number of love songs or songs about surfing or whatever, and we'll just put it in some arbitrary order enough to fit each sides of this physical disc, and boom, put it out there, sell 1 million copies, make the next one. Chop, chop. So this was like more of a, you know, Brian Wilson, he had a panic attack all on a flight while on an international tour, so he went back to LA, and he just took his time while everyone else was touring and making all the money. He was spending the money, hiring session musicians and hiring a lyricist, Tony Asher, shout outs, to help him compose this sort of, I don't know if you can even call it his magnum opus because Smile is a thing, even if it wasn't fully realized at the time. I think you can still say, I mean, most people when they think Brian Wilson, Beach Boys, they think Pet Sounds. They don't think, you know, Mike Love Kokomo, unless, you know, they're an asshole like him. But,
well,
I just want to point out, Jordan, that if you look at the Pet Sounds album art, it's a picture of 5 band members at a zoo feeding what appears to be like a lamb, and I think they're all lambs, maybe like one's, some of them are, you know, babies, one's an adult. But the only person who is not feeding an animal at the moment that the picture was taken and has no joy on their face whatsoever is Mike Love. So he really does come across as like this album's greatest villain, which is crazy I mean, in context of the time that it was made. You know, I'm sure over the years he's realized, and he's sued enough to get equal writing credit, that he's sort of embraced that that's part of their legacy and it's an indelible part of it that you can't get around. He can probably come to terms with the fact that everyone thinks he's a prick by, I don't know, sitting in his jacuzzi made out of gold and diamonds. But, I mean...
diving into a Olympic-sized swimming pool filled with money like Scrooge McDuck.
Right, and it's got like one of those old 50s like water dance, you know, like just a full crew of women in those one-piece swimsuits.
Somehow they're
and
swimming
their long
in
legs,
the money.
swimming in sync. Their legs are kicking as
somehow,
he's swimming down the pool. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I love the visual.
And he's wearing a MAGA hat the entire time. Anyway.
Well, of course. So I'm getting like not strong Panda Bear vibes from this song, you know? I think at the end of the song when you get the good night, baby, sleep tight.
I shouldn't have said anything about the bit not happening, because now you're going to force it on every song, and you're going to force me to do the edit every time. You asshole.
I have
what are you, Mike Love?
I've got a lot of notes prepared that heavily rely upon this bit working, Greg, so you got to make it work.
I do it for free, folks.
The fans will appreciate it. Oh, I got canceled. The fan
podcast is actively trying to stop you.
The fans will appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. Is there a lot to say about Wouldn't It Be Nice, other than it's just an amazing opening song, and that it's got like some amazing. I mean, it's a good little taste. It's weird because it's like it's an opening song that doesn't really sound too much like any of the other songs you're going to hear, but it does give you a good like idea of how the range of instrumentals might be on the album. Like it's very orchestral, very cinematic. And I think in that sense, it kind of gives you a taste. And of course, the harmonies and all that shit. But like,
and
it kind of
structurally,
stands
it's
apart.
like the upbeat and then sort of the slower and then like the very slow.
Yeah.
So that also kind of gives you an idea of like some of the songs on this album are going to be some ballady types, and then others are going to just be straight up bangers. And some are halfway in the middle.
Yeah, which is interesting because it is very much like. An album that a guy called Panda Bear came up with, was it last year? Or was it the year before? No, it was last year, right? Sinister Grift? Yes. Time
yes,
is
Grandpa.
An illusion. Sinister Grift is like the same shit with like starting off with praise and then going into Anywhere But Here. I was like, I feel like Wouldn't It Be Nice into You Still Believe in Me is like a very similar, like you're like, oh, all right, whoa, this is, and especially at the ending of Wouldn't It Be Nice, you're like, whoa, this is good. This is like, okay, we're slowing down like all the way, pretty much. I think it's great because it doesn't fuck with the flow, and it's another thing that
doesn't
I'll
fuck
bring
with
up
the
a bunch.
That doesn't fuck with the Pet Sounds formula.
Doesn't fuck with the Pet Sounds
formula. It is
formula.
the formula.
It is
the special Krabby Patty formula.
It's like the fluidity of these songs moving from one to the next. Even like the fluidity of musical arrangements within certain songs. It's like it's jumping from a lot of different stuff, but making it sound seamless. And I think that is like one of my favorite qualities of this album by far. But You Still Believe in Me is like fucking instrumentally. Woo.
Yeah, there's a lot of harpsichord on this album, which makes it kind of have this sort of timeless, but also like.
Did you know, Greg,
half psychedelic?
That sound on You Still Believe in Me is actually they were plucking the inside of a grand piano with a bobby pin, and it sounds like a harp. But
I did know that. I was actually going to bring it up if you didn't.
You're going to bring it up. I beat you to it.
You know what? What trivia piece I can beat you to is stepping back to the first song, to the beginning of the first song even. First of all, are you aware of the Pet Sound Sessions, like super CD set
super
from
vinyl set?
1997? Yeah, they're re-releasing that in like a month, and it's going to be on streaming for the first time in years, which is exciting. But there's a bit on that from like the Raw studio sessions that was recreated in the Paul Dano movie Love and Mercy, where at first the bit is, you got the mandolin player doing the melody, bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba, and then the drum starts in a very specific way.
So it's the first beat on the last bar of the intro. Boom, 2, 3, 4, boom.
And then the rest was history from there. But just like that, even just that amount of detail, like attention to detail, like Brian Wilson, that's one of the amazing things about this album is that the way it's written and composed, it's like when you listen to it, it sounds very simplistic. Like if you didn't know anything about music theory, aside from a few power chords, from what you're hearing, you might just assume that that's what they're doing because it's pop music and that's just, those are the ingredients. But because Brian Wilson was more of a composer than a songwriter, like, that was like a job title in the 60s. You could just write songs and get paid and you wouldn't perform them or anything, but the studio would, or the label would take them and give them to famous people. He put so much into it that like even Wouldn't It Be Nice, if you're trying to cover it on the piano, you have to look up like pretty much every chord unless you already have that sort of technical knowledge, because it is so like specific. But then when you recreate it perfectly, there's a lot of 6th and 7th chords in here. You're just like, wow, it sounds exactly like it does on the album because it's this very specific range of tones at work. And it's just like, The fact that he only had one functioning ear because his father abused him so goddamn much that the other one just stopped working, and he was able to make one of the greatest sounding albums of all time while trying to imitate someone else's producing style. It's just like, you can't give this album enough praise because it's fucking awesome. I won't say the person who he's trying to imitate because, well,
let's just say that he's a ghost now. You could say he's a bit of a specter.
That's correct.
You could say.
Yes, a phantom, a phantom menace.
But maybe the secret is having one functioning ear. Never think about that? I mean, everyone else's albums with 2 ears sound shittier than this one. Why don't we try an experiment where we make an album
me go get
and we just tape up one of our ears?
I'll get the fire poker and just go to town, and I'll go deep enough to where the ear stops working, but I won't go too deep to where I start poking the brain because I need that.
Yeah, but check this: you could just put an earplug in like one ear, right? And then it's just a temporary thing for the production of the album. I don't know if we got to make a lifelong commitment.
Yeah, no,
but
you gotta.
If that's your choice,
method.
That's your choice. You still believe in me? I wrote down this note here. I put this might be the greatest song ever written. And I also put that Paul McCartney,
You son of a bitch.
Paul McCartney also really likes this song.
What the fuck?
And it makes sense because it sounds kind of Beatley.
I hope he likes the song more than I like you right now.
But I'm not getting too much Panda Bear vibes from it, to be honest with you. Even though, like, I did make that comparison of the Sinister Grift 1-2 track flow through. Sonically, it's not really like, I don't think it's in that same ballpark.
Well, the question is, you might think that because it's a Brian Wilson mostly written album, that means that he sings the lead on all the songs.
Not true.
No, I would actually say he sings it on a minority of the songs compared to his brother or his cousin. Sometimes they would split the lead vocals if it was like a main leading dual harmony. So wouldn't it be nice was Brian and Mike Love, but You Still Believe in Me is just Brian, and it does very much sound like it's coming directly from him as opposed to being like, we got to make a single and market it and sell X amount of copies. Like, I think he's even quoted as saying like, sometimes you just have to be secure enough with yourself and believe enough in what you're trying to do that you can't be afraid of sounding like a girl and just be completely vulnerable in front of the mic, which I'm just saying that's a little problematic in 2026. No, but it is kind of, it's true. I mean, this does very much seem like there could have been some sort of negative connotation, but like, I'm sure Wayne Newton was already a thing by this point. Like, who gives a shit if it sounds like Frankie Valli already existed. You think people cared?
Exactly.
But he's Brian Wilson.
Tiny Tim.
He was health conscious, but also never less than like 200 pounds after a certain point in his life. So what can you do? He was a multifaceted man of many talents, mostly musical.
You just said multifaceted.
I did not.
You did. Roll back the tape.
No.
Roll back the tape.
Even if I did.
Melty fauceted. Come on.
Okay, first of all, you're
You're
trying
implying
to
that the
catch
man
me
was
like
melting,
I caught
which
you.
is unfair.
I did not say Wayne Jetski, all right? You're the one that fucking said that. So if anyone's going to be embarrassed, it should still be you. Thank you very much.
I would never say that Wayne Jetski is melty faceted, though.
Hey, real quick, what's the last letter of the alphabet?
Well, it depends. It depends where you start.
The 26th letter of the alphabet. How about that?
Well, what if I want to go around the world? What if I want to start at M and then I want to go all the way back to?
Then that would just be incorrect. That just wouldn't be right. I'm trying to get you to say Z, you Canadian.
I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to ensnarl me in a trap, and I'm
you
not
know what I'm talking about.
Despite all your rage, I'm not going to be another rat in a cage.
I have expendable income right now, Jordan. Don't test me. I will fly to Toronto and smack you across the face. And it will be worth it.
At least it'd be a good way for us to meet in person.
That's true. I would do it on video. I'd do it police body cam style.
Perfect. That's good.
Right.
Or you could get like meta glasses. So it's like
I don't have that much expendable income. I have GoPro money, not Meta glasses money. All right.
Just get 2 GoPros and tape them onto your glasses.
And somehow I'll see where I'm going.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm gonna move right on to That's Not.
And for the record, I still don't believe in you right now. But you can say that's not you. but I don't believe you because I know you too well by this point that you're going to keep... Let me guess. This is the greatest song ever written. It reminds you of Panda Bear and Paul McCartney had something to say about it. Rule of threes, Jordan. You can't fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice, Greg. Shame on me. Fool me
You're
3
about to get
times, you die.
You're about to get shamed because I didn't write that this is the greatest song ever written.
I
wrote, this is the best song ever written. And it sounds very much like Panda Bear. And that's funny because it should be called That's Not Panda Bear, ? That's not Panda Bear? Because that is the feeling that you get when you listen to this song. Really? That's not Panda Bear? You're telling me that that's not Panda Bear?
I'm sorry, I was just imagining myself beating the back of your head in with the butt end of a rifle.
I'm imagining
in a shallow
that
grave in the middle of the woods.
I'm imagining that the sample of Panda Bear saying fuck off has played about 300 times in the past 10 seconds.
We really do need to get a live soundboard at some point, just so I don't have to edit it in, and it's part of it, but I don't know.
I actually used to have this little... What the fuck?
Little chaos pad thing.
It wasn't even... It was like literally from a joke store, and it like made like fart sounds and stuff. I don't know where it went. That's a mystery I'll have to solve another day.
You think that Mike Love's voice sounds Panda Bear-esque to you?
I do. I think that it's not necessarily...
that I can make it alone now, but that's not me.
I think that it's not so much the voice. Like, I get that, like, Brian Wilson, I think, like, just the actual sound of the voice, like, is probably the closest. But I think that there's a similarity... And the thing is that no matter who's singing in the Beach Boys, they all have they're all sort of like lending from each other's styles, and they probably all developed their styles together while being in that band. So I think that there is like this sort of...
So it also helps that they shared a lot of DNA.
Well, that is
part of
course.
it.
So, but there's like, despite like sometimes if it isn't Brian Wilson singing, like there still is a Panda quality to it because it's like, I'm not even sure how to explain it exactly, but it's just like there's those like long, like held out notes, like stretched out notes, and this sort of, it's almost like the way they sing is almost like how you build like in a sequencer. It's like just like a one block here and one up there, and then we're gonna go up a couple, and then we're doing this like little scale with the vocals and stuff, and it's great, but I think there was a part that I put here that is like, oh yeah, the play this clip. Play this clip.
What am I?
During the line.
You're hired.
You're my lackey now. Run the
yes,
run
sir,
the tape.
Mr. Randall. Right away.
Get me a coffee and play the clip where he sings "Packed Up and Split for the City," and tell me that line does not sound exactly like a fucking line out of a Panda Bear song.
I once had a dream, so I packed up and split for the city.
Well, it's also worth noting that Mike Love is the main vocalist, but Brian also sings part of the lead. So that could have been a Brian Wilson part.
That could have been. And I think that is in the part where they do the trading off vocals. So it could be. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of times where I can't tell them apart. There's like, there's a song we'll talk about later that has a lot of... Actually, we already talked about it.
I would say Mike Love's singing voice has more similarities to Panda Bear's speaking voice than his singing voice.
Maybe.
My singing voice is gone.
No, my singing voice is gone. My singing voice is gone. My singing voice is gone. My singing voice is gone.
My singing voice is
And now I have to play that clip. Thanks a lot, me. That's not me. Hey, you know what, Jordan? Anyway? Don't talk. Put Your Head on My Shoulder is the 4th song on this album, and it's sang by Brian Wilson.
And you know what else?
What's that?
It might be the greatest song ever written.
See, okay, but the only one you didn't say might be about was That's Not Me, which I think is a bit of a hot take. I wouldn't assume that. You said it is the greatest song of all time. The others, you said it may be.
Actually, I said it's the best song ever, but you're right. Well, I don't know. That one worked really
I'm
well
allowed
for
to
me.
be pedantic about your modifiers. You're not allowed to be pedantic about synonyms, all right? You want to go tat for tat on the English language, motherfucker? Let's go. Let's get Tony in here to be the fucking arbiter, to be the referee.
Call him up real quick. Impromptu guest Tony halfway through.
He's
Pet
busy
Sounds.
reading poetry. Go follow his Substack, by the way, for the month of April. Don't talk, in parentheses, put your head on my shoulder. I'm glad people stopped doing that with song titles, by the way. Like, you either name it one or the other. None of this, like, in parentheses bullshit. I'm sorry. I love you, Brian. Rest in peace, but you don't know what you're doing.
You know, the funny thing is, though, it's like, so what, you would prefer it to be just called Don't Talk, or
Put
just
your head on my
your
shoulder.
head on my
yeah.
shoulder, but not remove the brackets and just have Don't Talk, put your head on my shoulder. It's like one gigantic.
Just a comma.
But see, that feels like almost, it feels rude when it's like that, because you're like don't talk, just put your head on my shoulder. It's like you're trying to silence somebody, you know, like shut the fuck up, put your head on my shoulder.
Isn't a set of
what that
parentheses
translates to.
functionally a comma anyway? See, that I caught myself on the misspeaking.
Tony would be proud. I think that yes and no. I think that the parentheses, I think, offers like an insight into what it is that you're talking about.
Well, it sounds
Whereas
more like a whisper than it is just like a continuation of the same thought. Like, don't talk. Put your head on my shoulder.
Okay,
That's going to come out great in post. It's going to sound very ASMR.
It's the opposite of ASMR.
But I think this is like, if you're into the momentum of the first three songs, because even if You Still Believe in Me starts out slow, it kind of rises to the like sort of mid-tempo vibe that the rest of the album mostly follows. So this is sort of the first like low-key, slow, deliberate ballad moment.
And
Not
it's beautiful.
so much as
The
Caroline,
strings.
no. But this one doesn't end with a bunch of sound effects, so minus 5 points.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to have a song on an album called Pet Sounds and there's no pet sounds on it, then what the fuck are you doing?
Well,
However, I will say...
Can I point out the play on words that the title makes up, because we're over 40 minutes in and we haven't pointed it out yet? Pet Sounds is a play on pet names. As in, when you're in a relationship, you give each other pet names, like cute little nicknames, cheesy even.
Mm-hmm.
And so the concept for the album was, these are my pet sounds, as in these are still things that are made for the person at the time he was married to, I think, his first wife. They might have already been his second wife. People got busy back in the 1960s. I
Free
could be
love,
wrong,
baby.
but yeah, it was very much a collection of love songs, which ironically Mike Love did not love the idea of. Oh God, I'm like Dr. Seuss, except I've never, I have no problem with the Jewish people, and I would never subject my wife to electrotherapy. So
Play the Panda Bear clip of him saying "fuck off."
What? Because I made a Dr. Seuss reference?
No, because I'm about to say that this song sounds identical to Panda Bear.
You did also.
Especially
You didn't say that exactly.
Close Your Eyes and Be Still. Also, do you
Also,
know about
when you
this?
said
Because
close your eyes, my brain automatically went, close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you.
I'll miss you.
What would happen if you put Brian Wilson, Noah Lennox, and Paul McCartney in one of those fusion pods from The Fly? Would they make a Cronenberg, or would they make a perfectly solid, put together blend of three human beings?
I think they would come out looking like Monstro Elizasu from The Substance, but they would have like the best voice of all time. Like they would like hit the stage and be like fucking Quasimodo, but like just like fucking.
But would they still
angelic voice comes out?
Would they still have an opening on one side of the head that gives birth to like a testicle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Everything that happens in The Substance would play out, except it would just be an amazing, like, beautiful voice while blood and shit is just showering the audience. It'd basically be like a G.G. Allen concert, but with a monster that has a beautiful voice. Yeah.
There's that connective tissue, as opposed to just doing a complete Barbenheimer, like, juxtaposition.
Exactly. But I wanted to ask you something, Greg, because you seem to have a lot of information in that noggin of yours. I read somewhere that on Don't Talk, Put Your Head on My Shoulder. I heard that the bass is supposed to replicate the sound of a heartbeat.
I don't think I've ever actually read that tidbit before, but that very well could be. I maybe I haven't listened to it on a good enough of like a subwoofer to where I would notice that. It's not like the Beatles remixes where they like take the old 60s recordings and then they boost the fuck out of the bass so that everyone goes, oh, hey, that's what Paul's doing throughout the whole song.
Yeah. No, I think that I kind of heard it in the song. Like, I think it's just in little parts. Like, the bass kind of goes like, dun, 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 dun. And I'm like, okay, I guess that could be like a heartbeat.
Oh, what was her
That's
name?
Cool.
Carol something. Not Carol Baskin.
Carol Kay?
Is it Carol Kay, the famous Wrecking Crew bassist?
Well, she appeared on this. So she's like one of the more notable guest musicians on here.
Right. Well, there's that. There's also a great bit from Wouldn't It Be Nice sequence in the movie Love and Mercy where the actress playing her asks Paul Dano playing Brian Wilson, like,
how does that work? 2 bass lines and 2 different keys?
Well, it works in my head.
I'm like, there you go. You pretty much nailed the essence of Brian Wilson right there.
Hey,
but
it worked. Yeah. Don't question the guy.
I love watching Carol Kay interviews because she always brings the bass out in case she wants to demonstrate one of the bass lines that she played decades ago, even at like however old she is now. I don't know. Is she still around? I feel like she's one of those musicians that's like, maybe she passed away recently. Just go ahead and flash yes or no on the screen in editing, future Greg. It's a good ballad, not the best ballad of the 2 on the album. I'll say that.
I think it's
I like
good.
it. I don't dislike it. But
I love the strings.
That's the problem is that like on an album, we run into this a lot because we talk about so many great albums where with a lot of killer and next to no filler, if any, where you have to pick songs that you like less than the load bearing songs like Wouldn't It Be Nice, God Only Knows. There are other songs that are just like straight up album tracks, but for me, they resonate more than, the ones that Joe Schmo on the street would know.
Sure.
So
no, I agree, and I think because like
this doesn't fall into that category, but that does not mean that it's not a great song.
And I think because the album's been around for so long as well, like it's easy to kind of have what you enjoy shift. It's like when you're listening to, like for the longest time.
I have a great example actually. I've been listening to so much of the Beatles recently that I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, I need something to start the day off, something a little relaxing. I'm going to put on Revolution 9 and just go about my business. That's the point I've reached in the Beatles fandom where I'm just like, I don't get it. What's so chaotic and abrasive about this? It's like being rocked to sleep as a little baby.
Yeah, this is what happens a lot with like certain Animal Collective related records as well for me. Like there'll be like, one song that maybe I don't enjoy that much, and then it's like time goes on, and then I like come back and I'm like, hey, you know what? That's that one song that maybe I didn't give that much attention to. And then it almost becomes like a fresh song because it's like I haven't really kind of worn it out through playing it a lot. So I think songs like Don't Talk, Put Your Head on My Shoulder, it's like that. I could see that being when the album came out, people being like, eh. But it's like now that so much time's passed, it's like, oh yeah, like this is almost like a new thing that you can sort of sink your teeth into a bit more because you probably played the shit out of the other songs. Yeah, I like it. It's maybe one of the best songs ever written. It sounds a little bit like Panda Bear. So I'm waiting for the day.
You really had to. You started it with that, and you had to end it with that.
I couldn't remember if I said it or not.
Mentally
so
that every time I have to do the edit every time I say it. So now you're just subconsciously giving me more work instead of consciously doing it. Meanwhile, you look like Dave Attell right now. I just want to point that out.
That's why I've got such a nihilistic attitude towards everything now.
Whatever, who cares? Let's move on to the next song.
Album's fucking great. Good luck editing this thing,
I'm
Greg.
waiting for the day that I do get to edit the episode.
Oh, God.
Hey, you know what? 2 can play at this game, motherfucker.
I feel like this song should say featuring A.V. Terror.
Why do you say that?
It's the do do do. There's that little backing vocal. It's like do do do, and it's such an A.V. Terror. I can't nail in what exactly like a song where like AV would do that. but those low like doot doot doos that become doot doot doo is like a very very just cut to the clip, Greg. Show them what I'm talking. Show yourself what I'm talking about.
I mean,
I don't know. Sounds like A.B. Turner.
I will, for the sake of respecting your outlook on life and your perspective, but I just want to say that like that was always a Beach Boys thing. If anything, they invented it. So comparing it to A.B. Terror seems silly because where the fuck do you think he got it? If he did it at all.
I just wanted to. I didn't want to compare everything to Panda Bear.
That just because Pet Sounds and Smile may not have directly influenced Animal Collective, they did openly say that they like more stuff like Wild Honey Pie and Surf's Up and some of the other post late 60s early 70s records. So it's not like they're like you mentioned the Beach Boys to them and they spit on the ground in front of you. Like it's just it's a weird like disconnect between the reviewers that have to review everything under the sun and then like these one guys that do the specific thing that to the average person it does have an overlap with like apple pie and baseball, the Beach Boys, dirt. So
well, I think the issue
Jordan's
is
waiting for the day that he can make the point he's trying to make instead of
I don't even know if I'm trying to make a point. I was going to say that I think that the contention comes from the simplicity of the connection, where it's like when we talk with Danny Perez, and I think you and I
David
mentioned
Lynch
this.
thing, yeah. Cut to the
it's
clip.
like the David Lynch.
It's a little lazy, not unlike that Animal Collective comparison you made. I do resent it a little bit because it's like anytime anybody sees something outside of the box or remotely surreal, they're like, "Oh, it's like David Lynch," and it's just a way to make it to dismiss and like put you in a box. When if anything, the whole point of making work like this is to think outside the box.
You see, it's like it's just
going to
too
be
obvious.
Mostly a clip episode than
This
his
is
actual
our
discussion.
clip show. Anywho, that's the exact same thing. It's just too easy. It's too easy to just say, oh, something's weird. It's David Lynch. So something has harmonies and sounds melodic and pleasant to the ears, and it's a guy singing in that tone. Oh, it's the Beach Boys. It's like I think that's where it feels like it's almost like an insult to bring it up, but of course it's not, because like the Beach Boys were prolific and experimental and had great voices and were great musicians. Getting canceled again here.
They were better musicians than podcast hosts.
Certainly, but it's one of those things. But I read about I'm Waiting for the Day, and maybe Greg, you know about the story. Apparently, Brian Wilson actually almost like scrapped the song because he hated his vocals on it. And I think that's an absolutely fucking insane take, because the
it might have
vocals
just been that his standard was too
amazing.
high, and he felt like he hadn't reached the standard that he was always trying to make his bass line.
Maybe, but like I wrote down here, like the vocal melodies are the best parts of the song, but the ending is so amazing, and the vocals sound so amazing in that part that I don't know what the fuck Brian is talking about when he says he doesn't like his vocal takes.
People are their own greatest critics.
That must be what it is, because apparently they recorded a whole other version with Mike Love singing the entire song.
Yeah, I was going to say Mike Love is credited as a co-lyricist and co-writer on this song, probably after the lawsuits. But I don't know. Maybe that just stained it in his memory, because I want to cut to the clip of Brian Wilson saying,
"No, I don't like Mike Love at all."
What do you think about this song? I mean, like it's got an interesting flow as well. Right?
I
It
have
starts
a
off
tidbit
big.
to bring up myself.
Bring it up.
Bring it up. That's a soundbite. Yeah, you can just play that every time. Like I interrupt the flow of the conversation with a tidbit. Bring it up.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
And then I'll just stop dead in my tracks. So they're recording with the backing. They do the backing tracks and the vocals separately. So they're going through one of the instrumental takes, and it gets to the point where it's in like halfway through the first verse, and so the main melody is. And I don't know what the piano player was supposed to play originally, but we only know what is on the final record because they kept his flub. He played the melody like bum 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 ba na 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 na, as like he was trying to play something else, but then he was like, "Ah, sorry, I screwed it up." And then Brian's like, "No, what was that? Do that again."
It was a mistake. Well, if you repeat a mistake every 4 bars, it's not a mistake anymore.
So there you go. That's
great.
all I got for this song. But you're right, it does have like this, and I think Here Today are probably some of the just like biggest sounding, which makes sense. I mean, they're fundamentally playing with like a small orchestra after a certain point.
Yeah.
So you've got the timpani, you've got the big bass drum. And
this one's got all those like flutes and everything.
Yes. There's a lot of, I mean, actually, speaking of Tony, I was telling him that we were going to do this episode, and I was like, stressing how it's one of those things where it's just like everyone loves it, and of course, and why wouldn't you? And he's like, yeah, I get all that, but like, I feel like I'm not at the point where I have got pet sounds yet, so I don't get like what makes it so special and what makes it so, like, I don't get why people latch onto it the way they do, other than it's what everyone. And so this was one of the reasons I told him. I was like, it's just like, it's one of those sum of all parts things. Like everything is just so specifically placed and arranged to concoct this beautiful final product of synchronicity and melody and harmony, but also like try new and weird things, but not too much to the point to that it's like distracting, So I think this is one of those songs where it works.
Tony, I'm talking directly to you right now. I'm demanding that you explain yourself in the comments below when you say you don't get pet sounds. You're going to have to leave a detailed explanation of what exactly you mean by that.
Or we'll dox you. So
you're getting doxxed, buddy.
TikTok.
You're going to have to
get typing.
Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of doing things, let's move on. Let's go away for a while to an instrumental song. So this, I think in this one and Pet Sounds, I don't think it was a thing. Like, I think most people would assume that they wrote lyrics, but then they just didn't use them. I think these specifically were only ever written as instrumentals, and kind of in a Robert Pollard fashion. He's just like, that's it. That doesn't need anything else. We got the instrumental down. We're done. Moving on. But I can't remember if it was this one or the title track Pet Sounds that appears in the movie Baby Driver. That he's listening to it on his iPod when he walks into the diner, I think the first time he meets the love interest in that movie. And I remembered hearing, because Baby Driver was 2017. This concert and my obsession with the Beach Boys was 2016. So when I heard that for the first time, like I had to do a double take. I'm like, wait, they're playing this song? But I mean, that said, you're right for you. He is a big Beach Boys guy, obviously. And
He's always on point with his on point with his score. His
needle drops.
Soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you something, Jordan.
Yeah.
Does this song remind you at all of Panda Bear or Animal Collective?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I have a note here where I was going to say that this, in many ways, is almost identical to Davy Jones's Locker, because it's just an instrumental song.
Because everyone else will skip over it because it's
and not a lot of people are going to listen to it. But
no, but this is actually a listenable song, not just like harsh noise that Sonic Boom conjured up on a synthesizer on drugs in the dark.
It's it's definitely I would agree it's a little more easy on the ears, but
just a little.
In a way it's exactly the same. Now, is it the best song ever written? I am actually going to go ahead and say it's pretty good. It's pretty good. The best? I don't know.
No, the best is the Ski Sunday theme song called Pop Looks Bach. And I only said that because I wanted to play a clip of it. But it's true. It's also the theme song for Nirvana, the band, the show.
You can't beat it. A sloop. What does the word sloop mean?
I know what stoop means. The stoop that you love is fiending for meaning. Well, Sloop John B is I don't even know if Brian Wilson knows what it means because he did not write the song.
But the song was not called Sloop John. The original traditional song is called The John B. Sails.
That's true.
So what the fuck is sloop? It sounds, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like something that you, like an alien race would eat in like Futurama or
Sloop.
something. They'd be like, now we're selling sloop. All new sloop formula.
You're
with
saying it's a
extra
Rick and Morty
slurp."
like gag from one of those
Yeah, it could be like
interdimensional
that. It could be
TV
like that.
bits.
Futurama, Rick and Morty, animated adult cartoons, same fucking difference. This was the like big fucking song from this album. I actually didn't even know that until recently.
Yeah, the power of the 7-inch 45 RPM single in the 60s was hard to top. That's what got you the most. I mean, there was no internet, so like if DJs were playing your 3-minute song or whatever on a loop on their radio station all day long, then you became enamored with it. But I don't know why. Yeah, it is. This one is kind of a, when you look up the history of it, when you're first getting into it, you're like, really, that one? But maybe it's because it was an adaptation of a folk song or like a rearrangement or whatever you want to call it, that maybe that, like, I mean, this is also the same guy that on the next album covered You Are My Sunshine. So it's not that like, there people could have just been on board for that with the time that this took place in. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Greg. I think that like a lot of music like around that time, like there were a lot of artists that were known for like, you know, like reprising other people's songs and stuff. It's like songs were a bit more, I don't know, songs.
Well, it's also this,
in a good way.
The 60s, like the folk explosion of the early 60s and like Greenwich Village.
Yeah, it was a bit more
and
like
all this
communal.
stuff.
Like
yeah,
everyone was
like
kinda
folk
like
was
using their
more
song.
of a popular mainstay at the time than it is now. Now it's like, you know, Mumford and Sons, but that's already an outdated reference. It's like folk is just not a
extremely
thing
outdated
at the
reference,
moment.
yeah.
So
No.
extremely. Come on, man. I'm not. That was half my life ago. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, so this is the only song that I actually didn't make any Panda Bear remarks about. I didn't even say anything about it being potentially the best song. It just is.
Well, you're going to be
It just
embarrassed
is.
when he covers it on his next album.
You know what I was actually thinking though? Like, and I'm sure this has been brought up before, but like Panda Bear doing a full cover of Pet Sounds would be like the fucking greatest thing ever. Like, not to match it, but in his own style, just like his own interpretation of every song on this album from start to finish.
But he would do it in a begrudging manner, knowing him. He
Well,
would do
I think
it with like a tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, I think given like all the history of the comparisons, it would have to be like somewhat begrudging. But imagine somehow that he just fucking loves the idea and has always wanted to do it and gives it his all, you know? It'd be like, you know what, actually, this is what he should do. Let's go back to another artist that we've talked about many times on this here podcast show.
Danzig.
An elderly gentleman named Glenn Danzig.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I was throwing that out as like a non sequitur, but that's actually where you were going.
That is exactly where I was going. So he, for the longest time, wanted to make a covers album of Elvis songs because he's always been infatuated with Elvis. It's pretty apparent in his voice that he's got a similar, you know,
range, timbre,
style
all
of
that
singing.
stuff.
Yeah. He's, you know, they've called him the evil Elvis for years and stuff like that. So it was always like a teased thing that Danzig was going to make like an Elvis covers album. And then it just like got pushed back. And then like in 2020, you know, that great year when all the good stuff happened, Danzig released the Elvis covers album, and it was called Danzig Sings Elvis. And cut to the image right now of the album cover, because it's fucking hilarious. It's all these like Elvis songs that no one's ever heard. And I think it's because like he probably couldn't pay the money to clear the rights to cover like the more popular Elvis songs. Anywho, what Noah should do is he should wait until he's however old Danzig was when he did the Elvis covers album.
So like 5 years.
I think there's a bigger difference in their age than that, but he should wait until he's like in his like mid 70s or something, and then do Panda Bear Sings the Beach Boys.
It should be the last thing he ever puts out.
The album cover should look almost identical to the Danzig Sings Elvis one, but just with an old Noah Lennox in like a
I was gonna say you could just do it like
shadowy light.
Do it like the Ween Pod album art, which is just a Leonard Cohen album that they stuck something on top of and then put the word Ween next to it.
Okay, so just stick a cutout
just
of
just Photoshop his head onto the Glenn
Danzig's
Danzig cover.
I love it. I don't know why I went down that road, But
because you're the kind of person that would also recommend we talk about hated Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies documentary. So that's why.
It's got to be an exciting episode.
Right.
Stay tuned, viewers and listeners.
It's gonna be great if it's all we can talk about in this one. Well, I want to point out that we haven't actually mentioned the main impetus that led to this album's creation, which is hashish, specifically like weed hash that you could buy just in like, you know, bricks back in the day. This is while like cannabis itself was in a very sort of fetal state, if you will, in terms of its like development and, you know, people figuring out how to get the best highs from, you know, growing it and treating it and all this stuff.
It was an age of experimentation.
To make Pet Sounds, or in order to, I guess, give him the creative inspiration to actually work on it day by day, he bought $2,500 in 1960s money of hash and was like, all right, let's go. So it's not even like he wasn't even into acid a lot at the time, although he had written California Girls at the beginning. He wrote that on his first acid trip, the do 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 do, playing that for just an hour or however long straight. And then,
well, there's an acid reference on this song right here. That's
yes,
the only.
That's what I was building up to, Jordan.
I'm gonna say it though.
Don't
first.
steal my
so
bit, you son of a bitch.
He actually changed.
I will
the lyric
kill you.
From
This
the
is a legitimate
folk
death
song.
threat. Now. You thought the
Go on,
Gigi Allen episode was going to get flagged by YouTube.
This is the dark one. This is the dark one of the month.
This is the worst trip since I've been born was the original lyric from the folk song. Brian Wilson changed it slightly to this is the worst trip I've ever been on. Meaning it could go both ways. It could go like I'm on a trip on a boat called the Sloop John B, apparently. Or not even the SS Sloop John B. Or it could mean
maybe
that
that's what the S. That's what the S stand for in SS. Sloop.
You're tripping so hard you imagine that you're on a boat where a man has broken into the captain's trunk and then took and ate all of your corn and some other things. That there's not really a whole lot else that happens in the song other than just wanting to go home, which valid. If I was stuck on a boat, I would not want to be there either. I'm not like a seasick guy, but it's like,
I'm just not a fan of boats.
You asked me to choose between boat or house. I will choose house. I will not choose houseboat. That doesn't count.
I probably go on like I go on a houseboat that's like doesn't go too far into the water. You know?
I'd go on a yacht that never leaves the dock. That's what I would.
Exactly.
do.
Like that's what I mean. Like if it's
but
like
only
at the
to listen
marina
to
or whatever,
yacht
it's
rock.
like we should review a yacht rock album. Wait,
I
what
keep
is
trying
yacht
to
rock
get.
anyway? Is that like
eventually, we'll talk about Steely Dan, and I know that they kind of despise that label, but I mean they're the best of that sound anyway, so we might as well. But speaking of things that are the best. Let's talk about what Paul McCartney has, again, I mean, we don't have to linger on it since we have already talked about it, but let's talk about God Only Knows What I'd Be Without You, Jordan.
Big fan of the song, big fan of God, big fan of Paul McCartney, big fan of...
You're a big fan of God, are you?
Oh, huge.
What's your favorite lesson from the Bible?
Thou shalt not eat... What does he say? Eat your neighbor's wife? Something like that.
Yep.
Anyway.
That's it. That's it verbatim. That's what was written on the tabs that Moses brought down from the mountain.
And honestly, I agree with it. Shouldn't be doing it.
Okay, well, good. I agree with it, too. I would hope so. God Only Knows. It's pretty much a straightforward love song, but interestingly, it's primarily sung by Carl Wilson with Brian Wilson and Bruce Johnston, shouts out. That's one of the members of the band everyone always forgets about, but... I mean, if you're in the Beach Boys, you've got something valuable to bring to the table other than just nepotism after, you know, the first few albums, I guess. But yeah, it's like the perfect song. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. Is there any other musicians you might want to reference at this moment before we move on that it reminds you of or that you thought of?
It kind of very, very slightly reminds me of this guy called Panda Bear. And
it's a guy called Panda Bear?
Yeah, it's like his birth name.
He must have had some hippie parents or something. That's weird.
Well, his parents were also both panda bears.
Oh.
Yeah, they're all called panda. Every panda bear
so
that
it
exists
was
is
yeah,
named.
it was like some.
So I think specifically it sounds like these bears at the end of the song where they have the vocal loops like kind of going around each other. And I got to tell you, Greg, that part of the song always gives me chills. It's so beautiful.
As it should. But again, I say, where the fuck do you think Panda Bear got it from? It's this song, Jordan. We wouldn't have Guy's Eyes if God Only Knows didn't exist.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. This stuff is obviously
You think he's got a time machine? He's got a time machine and an RV?
He has a bottle of Orbits, and he went back in time.
Did you ever actually drink Orbits when it was a thing, or were you too young?
No, well, so for the listeners and viewers out there that are not aware about everything, that I've experienced in my, however, 25 years of life that I've been alive.
69.
Yes, 25. While I am of Canadian descent and I live in Canada, I spent most of my youth living in Spain. So
But even over there, it wasn't a thing? Was it a Canadian local?
It was like a
drink?
I think Canada and like North America maybe.
So wherever you could go to a Tim Hortons today is where they sold Orbits 25 years ago.
I think you could probably just get them in like any convenience store back in the day. But the the people that like did grow up, like a lot of my friends that are here in the city and have grown up in Toronto, we watched like Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. They're like, oh fuck Orbits, man. Like the funny thing is that while everyone has this little moment of nostalgia for Orbits, everybody then follows that up with being like, man, that drink sucked. So it's
it would be
funny.
like if there was an American version of the movie where the main time travel ingredient was the toys from inside the Kinder Surprise egg.
Well, they still do that.
Well, yeah, but it was gone for like 20 years, and then they brought it back like without all of the stuff in the middle so that kids wouldn't choke on it.
Really?
Or it's like it was.
I never do that.
It's not the same as it used to be. It's very much a neutered product, so that babies don't die.
Well, that's stupid.
But speaking of babies dying, we're going to talk about "Last Caress" by the Misfits.
Yeah, since we brought up dancing.
I got something to say. No, but last thing about God Only Knows, man, is it is interesting that this was like considered a somewhat controversial title in 1966 because it wasn't a gospel song. It had nothing to do with religion. It was just more of an expression like God only knows, like just, when something surprises you and you go, Jesus Christ, you're not intending to take the Lord's name in vain, but it's what feels most appropriate at that moment. And if this is how Brian Wilson describes, what his life would be like, well, what even is the lyric? God only knows what I'd be without you. If he didn't have the woman, the love of his life, who knows how he'd turn out? I mean, I think we found out the answer to that, but I'm sure LSD and lack of mental health therapy back in the day probably contributed more to that than, and I'm not going to sit here and get into the dark parts of Brian Wilson's life. There's a movie. Actually, there's two. There's the fictional movie with John Cusack and Paul Dano, and there's a documentary from 2004 called Brian Wilson, Beautiful Dreamer, I believe. It's a great doc, but it's also very much like a promotional thing for the, Brian Wilson Presents Smile project, where they dug up all the old songs and finished out the structure and made it a live performance piece and all that, which is a great story, I guess, for a different podcast. So what point was I ultimately trying to make? I don't know, Jordan, but I think we should move on to the
greatest song ever written?
Well, yes, there's that. But that kind of goes without saying. I mean, it's like saying Jordan's old. I mean, come on. We don't even need to bring it up at this point. Everyone knows it's the greatest song everyone written.
I think I'm going to go ahead and quit this podcast.
This is just me getting revenge on you making me do all this fucking gag editing.
So this next song is like straight out of Panda Bear's wheelhouse.
Yes. It's
right
called
off
Hang On to Your Ego.
Right out of the bat, right out of the gate. It is like sounds exactly like Panda Bear. And then the lyrics are like talking about like a safety zone. It's like may as well just say force field switch because this is a Panda Bear song.
Might as well say slap on a jelly ass. But
they may as well.
They didn't.
What else did I write? Oh yeah, this might be one of the best songs. I like that you didn't
correct me when I said the original title. You didn't actually. We haven't said what the finished title is yet.
Oh right. Oh shit. My mic just came off. I'll go handheld from
See,
here
this
on
is
out.
what happens when you sit there and you you adjust it 50 times a show.
I got to fidget with something, man. All right.
Okay, they have toys for that aren't that have nothing to do with the podcast
The hardware of
equipment. And
hardware
I
of
also
the
want to
podcast.
point out that every time you do that in editing, I have to slightly adjust your levels because it's not always the exact distance from your mouth.
You know what? I get that, but I'm probably still going to do it. Okay.
I Know There's an Answer is the final track title because originally Brian Wilson, we've mentioned him a few times in this episode. He wrote the song originally as sort of like a response to people who were just taking acid all day, every day, and not considering any sort of long-term effects that might have on their brain, because I guess it was sort of a culturally nihilistic, but also like very open and free and restrictionless time for the youth. So they felt like, what else is there to do other than to go to Ashbury Park and just be stoned 24/7 every single day of your life? Brian Wilson wrote the song as like sort of a PSA to drug users, like hang on to your ego even if you are going to go get lost in La La Land every day. But the end of the lyric is also, but I know you're going to lose the fight, meaning ultimately you can try to hang on to your ego, but if you just keep sitting there and melting your brain away with acid, you're not going to be able to control that after a while. So it was just really like, look, I'm glad you guys are having fun, but like, let's pump the brakes just a little bit, guys, because it'll do you a lot of good in the future. Probably advice he probably could have taken just a couple of years later for himself, but shit happens. Anyway, so he writes the song, he brings it into the studio, they've already recorded the backing track, and they're getting to the part where they're recording the vocals, and Mike comes up to him and he's like, I don't want to record a druggy song, which... Number one, fucking square. That was like the biggest insult you could call someone in the 60s. The biggest
like a
G-rated.
goofball.
Yeah. But it's also like, do you think that would have been, I'm asking you, Jordan, do you think that would have been too much for people to like go from California Girls in 1965 to 1966, Hold On to Your Ego, like an explicit song about drugs that probably couldn't have been played on the radio? Like, what do you think, Mr. Spielberg?
I think it's one of the greatest songs ever written. Sounds a bit like Panda Bear, but no, I do think that it would be like I think it's a great like album cut. Like, it's like if you've got your California Girls and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, you've got those fun poppy songs, like whatever. But then you listen to the album and you're like, oh fuck, like. And it's one of those things. It's like you're not going to immediately pick up on like the depth of the lyrics when you listen to it. And a lot of these songs, I think,
you're a psychedelic user already, and you're like,
well, yeah,
oh,
and
yes.
especially if you're like listening to it a number of times. But it's like a lot of these songs do have that like immediate surface level value where you listen to it and you're like, oh, this is a great song. But then you're like, I need to listen to it again if I really.
I can also see the flip side of it.
The lyrics.
Being someone that doesn't know what the connection is with the lyrics and thinking like, why would I want to hold on to my ego? Isn't the whole idea to not have an ego, so therefore you're not like an unlikable asshole? Like, I understand that there's the id, the super id, the ego, and all that nonsense, but like, if you don't know that like you can literally lose your own sense of identity if you take too many psychedelics, that you might just not even register that that's what they mean, and then it might just come off as confusing. So
yeah, I guess you're right.
There's a number of reasons why they changed it.
It would be more people that were into that sort of lifestyle, I guess, would probably be more aware of that being like the main message. But I think it's like it'd be one of those cool things. Like I could see myself like being really really high and just being like listening to it and be like, shit, man, shit, this guy. I just shit. That's the kind of response I think that song would.
But do you
I'd
think
like,
people
that's
actually? Well, I guess they wouldn't, because they didn't put that version out for like 30 years until it was like a bonus track on a CD. But like, do you think that it would have had any impact? Like, let's say Mike Love was like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's put that song out there, and it comes out on Pet Sounds. Let's say it even gets like, maybe it gets banned, and that's what causes people to listen to it because it's suddenly taboo and you can only hear it on the 45. Do you think any drug users got to that point, would then hear it and then go, maybe he's right. Maybe I should take less acid? Or do you think they'd just be like, fuck you?
I don't think so. I think that it would be like one of those things that you'd probably take more LSD to.
Like a protest against the anti...
Yeah, you'd be like, you can't tell me what to do. You'd be like, yeah, that might be true for you. And then
what if the song was instead like, don't go to Vietnam, Don't become a killer for the United States government. Would they be like, yeah?
I think somebody would probably shoot him.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Lennon. John, as you might know him.
Yeah.
I know
You're
you
not
guys were
talking about
close because
Lennon
you guys
from-
used to hang out all the time
Of course,
at Abbey
yes.
Road Studios.
You son of a bitch. All right.
They did still leave a lyric about tripping in it, though. It's not like they erased
Right.
every reference. There's still the lyric where he says, they come on like they're peaceful, but inside they're so uptight. They trip through the day and waste all their thoughts at night. That's the lyric.
That's the
and
lyric.
I know that's essentially what Day Tripper by the Beatles was about, but that, I think, was before this, right? Because that was made for Rubber Soul as like a non-album single.
Maybe. You got to get Paul on the
We got to get
cast.
Paul on the pod, yeah.
We got to get Paul on the pod.
Paul and Ringo. Did you see that
Yes.
clip of that one like gamer doing a stream and Ringo is like there talking to someone in his
I
house
think
or whatever?
I did, actually. That does sound familiar.
And he's just like, "Oh, are you a musician then?"
You right, brother? Where you from?
I'm from Liverpool.
Oh, really? I've just come from Manchester.
Ah, we must be brothers.
Who was that guy, man?
This fucking 18-year-old just absolutely knows
That's
nothing
amazing.
about the Beatles.
Oh, what I was going to say was that...
Oh,
Sorry,
let me
it was a
interrupt
lot-
you.
A little
No,
loud.
just-
What I was going to say was that the
Fuck
bass
off.
harmonica solo, come on, who thinks of such a thing?
I didn't even realize that's what that was. I thought that was like an alto sax where they just played like the lower end.
That's what I read, is that it's a bass harmonica. And I was
Huh.
like,
I didn't even know that
weird.
existed.
Neither did I. I was blown away. I was like, what
Wow.
instrument don't they play? Did they invent instruments for this album?
Is there a
It's
bass
crazy.
sax or is that just a trombone?
No, there's a alto sax, and then there's, what's the other, soprano? Tenor, that's it. The point is that I know there's an Answer's actually a really good song, and I really do love the vocal delivery and the power of the vocal delivery on the chorus, on the title line. Experimental choices that end up excellently fitting very well together.
Yeah, and who doesn't love that like opening melody that kind of carries throughout the song? The boo doo 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 doo.
Oh, yeah.
doo, doo. Like if you let's like picture you're a wealthy aristocrat from the 1970s, and you walk into your local Neiman Marcus to meet your assigned salesperson for a pair of shoes that you specifically ordered. And that's playing over the loudspeaker. You wouldn't think twice about it. You'd be like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be hearing right now.
I can
As
see it.
opposed to lounge music, which, I mean, there's another Danzig connection. This whole time when you were talking about his Elvis album, I thought you were going to bring up the lounge music cover album.
You know, it's funny when you said that is another Danzig connection. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And that's how
you originally
buried
brought
that
it
album
up
is.
on the second episode ever of this show. And I eventually did
I
listen
buried
to it.
that album in my mind. Although it's actually not that bad. all
It's
things
not,
considered.
but like after the like 3 or 4 of the covers, you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's whimsical,
It's,
and
the
that's
novelty
the
wears off
joke.
very quick.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know what? The novelty of doesn't wear quickly off from it. Tony, you can leave a correction for my grammar in the comments. Is the next song "Here Today"?
Here Today.
Which whenever I saw a 70-something-year-old Brian Wilson performing this album for the 50th anniversary, he like kind of talked through half of the songs, like he knew the lyrics, but like because he's played and known them so long, like he would just kind of like say the line really quickly, and then like the instrumental would keep playing at the regular pace and wait until it got to the next line, and he would just do that again. But then he would also introduce the song sometimes instead of just like stopping and starting the next one. So for this one, it was like, all right, here we go. Love is here today and gone tomorrow. I'm like, spoiler alert. You haven't gotten to that part in the song yet, buddy. That's supposed to be a surprise. But I get the sentiment that he's going for.
I don't know if you're not going to be able to see it with the focus, but my note sounds something like Panda Bear and Sonic Boom would make. It's kind of like a circus song.
You know, I just think that you should be grateful that the technology doesn't yet exist for me to reach through the screen and punch you directly in the nose. Just be glad about that.
One day.
We're not talking about then in the future. We're talking about here, Today, Jordan.
And today I am making the claim that this sounds kind of like a circus song, but in a good way.
I can see that because it definitely like picks up in the hook, the as soon as he goes like the love is here, it's like like very. I mean, it's the wall of sound that he was trying to imitate. I mean, that's very much on display in this song, with everything.
And there's like
from
the instrumental,
percussion
like
to the
in the bridge,
like every session
like
musician playing the same chord at once.
Yeah.
It's
but it doesn't it give you like a bit of like almost like they were inspired by Reset.
No, because that's not how time works.
And
they hadn't yet written Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. So actually they were first. They beat them to the punch on the circus sound. But I maybe I can kind of see that. Do you think anything like the tuba being the bass line during that part has anything to do with that?
It has everything to do with that.
It's the only thing. But I think this one I feel like is more. It starts with just a little glimpse now, but it does kind of have that sort of regular like Beach Boys song beginning, and then it like ramps up into what I think is like more of a weird sort of noisy experimental thing. Where if you weren't expecting that, this might be one of those moments where if you were like in the '60s and you were expecting like "Shut Down Volume 3" by the Beach Boys, then this would make you go like, what the fuck are they even doing here? What is this? And maybe you would have a positive reaction or a negative reaction, or if your brain is melted enough on acid, a neutral reaction because you can't think anymore.
Could be anything.
Yeah.
Any of the reactions.
It could be. But here today, I'm saying that it's good.
It's a good
and
song. I like it.
I'm not comparing it to any other song or artist because, well, first of all, I already did. And second of all, I'm a better person than you are. So I just want to get that out of the way.
He's saying you to you, the listener out there.
No, I'm saying you,
also,
Jordan Randall, aged 45 in Toronto, Canada.
45, come on. I'm not a day over 17. I will say that as, a youthful hombre that I am, I frequently go to theme parks and I enjoy them. And down in a state...
Cut to the clip.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today we are talking about the Alpenfury opening day experience. Orlando Universal, there's a world, a Dr. Seuss world, and there's a place in there where you can eat called the Circus McGurkus. This song here today would fucking smash. Would a smash at Circus McGurkus.
Don't eat there. That just sounds like you're gonna get food poisoning by even just stepping in the restaurant.
The secret ingredient is McGurkus. They always stick a little McGurkus in your food, for better or for worse.
And you don't want to know what that really is.
You already know what it is.
Do you? Because I don't.
It's what you fear. It's what you fear it is. It's exactly what it is. So go down there, put on Pet Sounds, and get yourself some McGurkus.
Get your AR-15 and just open fire at anyone else that's there. Do the world a favor.
Please don't. I go to that park a lot.
The death threat I made against you was not a joke. This part is a joke, though. So,
all right. So long as you leave your guns out of, so long as you leave your guns in Texas, Greg, and out of Universal Studios.
They've got plenty in Florida. I can just get one there.
That's true. They've got one inside the theme park, right next to the wand shop. I wasn't made for these times.
I just wasn't made for these times.
I just wasn't made for these times.
I want to take the charge on this song because this is my favorite song on the album. That's right. I said it. I just wasn't made for these times. There's just something about the perfect blend of the weird chord choices he makes and the universal content of the lyrics that for someone at that age who's trying to figure out who they are and relating to things more from the past that you feel like there isn't enough of in the modern age for you to engage with as opposed to like in a group of people as opposed to just on your own, which is sort of what That's Not Me is also about. But this song is just, it's very well made and produced and composed, and it's just like kind of reminds me of another musician. I can't think of who it is though, and I don't want to hear any suggestions because they're going to be wrong. So I guess I'll move on from that point. But I actually wouldn't say that it reminds me of. And have you listened to the instrumental version of this song?
I have not, but I
Well, when you talk about
would.
circus music, this one also kind of gives me that vibe. It's kind of one of those songs where it works with the full backing, and it also works if you just play it sort of solo on the piano. And there was a point in my life where things were feeling uncertain. This was like post-college, pre-COVID. So I didn't know how bad things were going to get, but there was a moment in time where I was just not sure where my life was going to go, and so I played this song a lot to sort of help with those emotions that I was going through. And A+, good job, you did it. And I love
Good
that
song.
it's there's no Mike Love on the track, which is what I like about it as well. Not primarily, but that's an additional little cherry on top.
You love the lack of love.
That is correct. I hate Love, Mike Love specifically. I love love in general, though. I like Love. I don't know if I love Love. It's a lot, but I do like it.
But
I like the idea of it.
Do you love hate?
No.
Do you love like?
Now you're just talking nonsense. Come on.
Well, if like's in the middle of love and hate, then can you love to like rather than love to love?
Well, this is more of a nebulous thing. There's no graph you can put this onto, all right? There's so much cool, like, sonically going on in this song. Like
There is. You know what's the coolest? The coolest sonic bit outside of those bop bop bops is the motherfucking electro-theremin.
That's true. I think this is the first time it's on any of their songs.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely like a weird instrument to throw in there, but it works so well. That's the thing. It's like, again, it's like we were talking about before.
Like, yeah, if you owned an electro theremin in 1966, you were using it on, like, 10 spooky horror songs, 10 spooky Halloween songs,
Of course.
like one of those novelty albums. You weren't like, and it was just there to be like, woo.
Yeah,
Or if
it'd be
you're
like
working on the
sci-fi.
Star Trek, the original series.
Like Plan 9 from outer space.
Doctor Who was a thing back then in 1960.
If you
were working on season 3 of Doctor Who in 1966,
if you were hired
series 3.
If you were hired as a composer by Ed Wood, odds are you're playing an electro theremin. But it works shockingly well. No pun, the electro part.
Yeah, because it's even like imitating the vocal line, or that's what they're going for, but it has its own vibrato, like, as part of the way that it's configured. So it does give it this sort of like mystical, like almost like fairy tale like quality. It's not dominant in the mix or like in the arrangement either. It's just sort of like a detail they throw in, and it just sort of, you can't imagine it any other way because it fits so perfectly with, like, it's not like a depressing song. It's sort of, I mean, I guess that's debatable, but it's not like overtly sad. It is just sort of more of like an existential thing. So it's not like you get the best of both worlds with your theremin usage. It's not like Good Vibrations where they spent months and months just trying to get it to sound exactly perfectly. Because otherwise the song falls apart without it.
I think that the cool thing about this song too is like how meta it ended up being, right? It's like you listen to Pet Sounds, you're like, this is 1966. And you're like, these guys are way ahead of their time. And then you're like, oh, there's actually a fucking song called that.
No, but he wanted to go back in time is what he meant. He's like, these modern times are so crazy. I want to go back to the 40s and 50s when everything was so much simpler.
I don't know, man. I think it's about being like isolated because you're more advanced than other people.
There's also
maybe this song, one of those songs that could be up for interpretation.
The Brian Wilson auteur theory.
Yeah. Yeah, that electro theremin was played by a guy called Paul Tanner. So good on you, Paul Tanner. Backing vocals are excellent on this track. Like, all the vocals are good, but like,
which I guess is just him.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is all him.
Which it makes it interesting that he kind of does like a slight self-hock it. I don't even know if you can call it that. Maybe it's more of a call and response thing, but like the beginning of the like ending, like the coda part, like the outro where he's like, I just wasn't made for these times.
Right.
I guess I just...
Yeah,
like
that's
there's
true.
like that overlap that I don't know if they ever did that before on any other songs, or if they did, it wasn't as like pronounced. But
yeah,
there's some
that's
interesting
a really cool
like basic techniques at work. And it's like, you don't even really have to get that experimental with the structure as they later did on stuff like Smile, like Heroes and Villains and whatnot, to make it feel like it's something new and something unique. But this already has so much going for it that you don't even really need to get that crazy with it. It is one of those like sum of all parts songs where you're just like I can't imagine this album without that song. Even if it is just a non-single album track, like it
God
really
only knows
is one
what
of
the
those
album
like
would be without it.
I can't get that upset because I didn't know where I was going with the end of that anyway. So
I just helped you out, man.
you get a pass this time.
I helped you out.
You're on thin ice. Hey, let's talk about the title track instrumental. It's called Pet Sounds. All right, let's move on to Caroline. No. I mean, do you have anything to say about title track Pet Sounds?
I do.
Wow.
Did you know that this song started off as a concept for a James Bond theme? It was actually originally called Run, James, Run.
I think I did. Vaguely know that.
Which
that's kind of like...
It kind of makes sense when you think about it.
I mean, we all know who ended up getting the Bond theme a few years later. It's someone who we mentioned on this podcast. No, Paul McCartney.
Right.
Live and Let Die. You fucking idiot. God.
Smoky in here.
What are you high on reefer?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you been eating reefers?
Yeah, so it started as James Bond theme concept is what I have here. Oh, and then the other fun fact about it is that Brian Wilson was the only Beach Boy to appear on that track with the session musicians. So nobody else was on that one as well. That's all I got about that one.
But did he do that on Let's Go Away for a While also, or was it just the title track? Interesting.
Just the title track.
What did he do on Pet Sounds, the song?
I think it said I don't have all the details, but I think it said he played guitar. I might be wrong. It's on Wikipedia. Look it up. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot to say about that track. It's a bit odd, right? Like, I think everyone's probably like, oh, interesting. The title track is an instrumental, and it's like right near the end. And it's got like
it doesn't have the sounds of pets. It's just a regular fucking instrumental.
It's just a regular instrumental. And then, ironically, the next song is the one that has the pet sounds on it. But
I love how much of this one is the
totally
percussion, though. This one is very percussion.
It is,
like
yeah.
What's got like thing where you strike the wooden stick.
Yeah. I forget what's it's called.
The guiro.
Yeah. There's a lot of like
they use
Latin
that on Reset,
which
I guess
music.
The Beach Boys must have heard first and then went, "Wow, that's smart. We should use that." Because that's how time works.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot to say. I like. It's not a track that I would like just listen to on its own. Like, I don't think I'd be like, oh, I'm going to throw this in. Like, maybe I'd throw it in a playlist of like other instrumental music or something. But like, I don't think I would be like, oh man, I'm in the hankering for just listening to that song. I think like in the context of the album, it makes it makes for a good like penultimate closer. But it doesn't really do much for me. It's fine. It's fine. It's kind of like. It's almost like a filler, but it is a good filler.
I was gonna like punctuate that with a burp, but then it didn't happen. So now it's just an awkward silence.
I thought you were gonna be sick. It looked like you were, like sometimes.
Well,
like,
I am sick of you, but I physically I feel fine otherwise. So
well, that sickens me to hear you say that. So now we're both sick. Thanks.
Well, you're the one that is still recovering from COVID, so.
Well, I feel better now. I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Also, you have no excuse.
COVID can't keep you down.
You're just being yourself. Well, if your name was Caroline, I would say no to your antics, but it's not. It's Jordan, and that's not what this last song is called. It's called Caroline, no. And I believe there was a confusion in the studio when they were making this song, where they thought that the lyric was Carol, I know, like I space KNOW.
Yeah. No,
and I think maybe that was even what it was written as, but then they thought it sounded maybe a little, maybe they took inspiration from AV Tear and decided to do a little bit of a, what even is it? It's not a portmanteau.
I think it is a portmanteau.
Yeah, no, but I said it correctly.
It's portmanteau, not portmanteau.
Well, when I see you next time in Toronto, we can get into it face to face. How about that?
I don't know where Toronto is, so you'll have to give me the directions.
It's on top of the Toronto you live in. It's like Futurama. You have the old New York and you have modern New York on top.
Yeah. Or you're suggesting that Toronto's like underground, but then Toronto is like above.
Have you never heard of the Toronto Underground?
I have. It's terrible. Caroline, no, is also a single, is it not?
It is, and there was a point Actually, I can't remember if they released it as a Brian Wilson single or as a Beach Boys single. Was it?
Yeah, there was something like that. I think it was supposed to be a Brian Wilson single, but then, then it found its way on Pet Sounds and became like a single. Anywho.
Well, it was the first single, and it was released by Brian Wilson.
Right.
It was not credited to the Beach Boys, so I think
it's interesting.
That might have maybe pissed off Mike Love just a little bit. That they thought, like, are you trying to make people think that you're breaking up the band and going solo? Which I don't even know if that was, like, an accepted thing at the time, or that just became the norm based on how music history played out. But
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's a fine song. It strikes me as weird for it to be a single. It's a fine song. It's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song to end on. It is a
weird lead single, though. Yeah, because like, here's this somber, like, pleading love song, and then, by the way, this is also the same album that has Love Is Here.
It's not overly representative of the album at large, but it is a good song. And I do like that it ends with actual pet sounds. Do you know? I wanted to ask you because I didn't get this far on the internet. The animals that are featured in the liner notes, the dogs, are they somebody's pets? Do they belong to any of the band members?
That I actually don't know, but I do know that they brought them in for real to the studio to record that part.
Nice.
And there's even a bit in one of the, like, raw audio recordings that they've released on that Pet Sound Sessions thing where he's like, hey, do you think we could get a horse in here? So I think he had bigger ambitions for what he was trying to do with the, but I think it was a combination of, like, they recorded the dogs and then everything else was, like, stock audio. And I'm wondering, Jordan, speaking of Avi Tear and the train, do you think it's possible that he used the same LP of train sounds to mix the ending of the train sound effect on here that Avi bought in that What's in My Bag Amoeba Records video?
Oh my God. I think you might be onto something. I think it probably is. I mean, how many, like, train sounds?
Or am I desperate for connections at this point?
How many train sound albums are out there in existence? I think is the bigger question. Does there need to be more than one train sound effect album?
I mean, it depends on the quality of the one, if there's only one.
I guess so. I would assume that it's...
Well, look, I'll be in Austin
if it's an
soon,
old...
so I'll go through their record collection A through Z, and I'll try and find it.
Please. And then even on, like, Record Store Day, you should probably ask
in California,
the people that work at the record stores, be like, what's your take on train sound effect albums? Like, is there a best one? What's the introductory train sound effect?
Where do I start if I'm looking to get into train sounds?
Trying to get into train sounds. What's the best one to just start it?
I heard the last 10 seconds of Pet Sounds, and I thought, Pet Sounds, train sounds. What's next?
I thought the Pet Sounds album was okay, but what really got me was that last couple seconds of train noises. It awoke something in me that now I need to pursue.
Yeah, Jordan, remember when you were like 5 years old, your parents took you to the Nickelodeon and they showed you that Lumiere strip of the train arriving at the station? And you were so naive as a young 5-year-old that you were like, whoa, my God, we're going to get hit by a train. But then it was just on the screen and your parents were like, dude, chill out. It's not real. It's not a real train.
And that's why I've been looking for train sounds my whole life, because that was a silent movie. And I didn't hear the
You didn't know what it would sound. Yeah, exactly. That's why you were
like.
So scared. If you had heard it coming, you would have been like, oh, there's a train coming.
Exactly. So I now hook me up with some train sounds, people. You know what? I'm going to make a train sound album. I'm going to become a train sound artist. There's a number of trains that go by around here. I could record them. I guess that's it. That's all you have to do to make a train sound album.
Are you like technically proficient enough to pull that off, or do you need training?
Oh,
I thought you were gonna hate that.
Wow. No,
I was expecting a more negative reaction. Okay,
I hate that so much.
Yeah, no. If you don't need to fake enthusiasm. If I do something that pisses you off, let me know, Mr. Giggly Google boy.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm on your side. I Pet Sounds. It's a great album. What the fuck?
No,
this is the thing. It's not up for contention. It's a great album. If you don't like it, you probably have some deeper issues. And if you do like it, then of course you do, because there's nothing not to like about it. And Panda Bear is a phenomenal musician who's very much carved a path of his own, while some might
it's
consider...
interesting that, the Beach Boys took so much inspiration from Person Pitch, or Brian Wilson specifically, because, you would expect more of a kaleidoscopic effect, or not kaleidoscopic, you would expect more of like a collage style thing with the album art, but
album cover.
As it stands, it's pretty
pretty
simple
close, though.
stuff. Yeah,
It's
got the
pretty close.
Capitol Records logo. You got this asshole.
There he is. Love to hate.
Back. No one ever looks at the back of these albums. Now, but what's going on in this picture right here? Is this a Japanese person
That's like
wearing some
literally
sort of kimono?
so small, I can't even tell you what I'm looking at.
Do some manual filmmaking.
Oh, yeah, that guy looks like a dude in a kimono.
Are they in Japan and they were given these garbs? Like, yeah, like he's even like on a rickshaw in the picture next to it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
These must just be from when
Yeah,
they
they must have
toured
gone on a
Japan. They're like, look, this is what we were up to while Brian was writing the greatest album of all time with Tony Asher. And let me ask you something, Jordan. Are you interested in more records by Capitol? Because
Sure.
you can
What else
sign
they got?
up. They got
That's the actual sign-up sheet?
They got Nat King Cole. Oh, hey, check it out. They got the Beatles.
Hey,
right
I've heard of
next
them.
to the Beach Boys.
I've heard of them.
Rubber Soul.
Look, Rubber Soul right there. That's the
Beach
one.
Boys Party. Help, but no Revolver. That's probably because that one was different. That one I think was Yesterday and Today in the U.S. That was a whole thing. I'm glad that the Beach Boys didn't have to deal with that bullshit. They're like, no, here's the album. It's done. This is what it is. You're not going to change it up and make your own track list. It's actually kind of crazy that we only mentioned Good Vibrations once, considering that was like the bigger thing. Like, wouldn't it be nice? God Only Knows, Sleep John B. They did pretty well, but like Good Vibrations was like a massive hit, and it was actually made right after this, essentially.
That's true. But what is there to say about that? There's not much to say about Good Vibrations because the song it's exactly what it is, what everyone knows it is.
I just, if I could go back in time into 1966, I would say, fuck that song. Listen to the record that they put out that nobody liked because it was so weird and different. If someone were to come up to you and say Pet Sounds is the greatest record of all time, would you be able to, would you have any disagreement, or would you be in total agreement on that?
I would agree with them.
I wouldn't agree with them because it's called Merriweather Post Pavilion by Animal Collective. That's the greatest record of all time.
There can be multiple greatests, as you've seen
that's
from
not
my
how it
review
works.
of
That
every
is
track on
not
this
how
album.
it works. Okay.
Every track is the greatest song ever written.
That's what a superlative means, Jordan. It means there's only one. You don't go into a yearbook and go, oh, most likely to succeed. There's 10 people here. No, there's fucking one per gender.
Everyone.
So there's technically two, but
no, it's a phenomenal record and a bunch of phenomenal songs. It's great. What's not to like about it? The only thing that maybe I would say is like the instrumentals, but I wouldn't remove them from the album because they fit so well in there. I just wouldn't listen to them on their own, but I wouldn't change a thing about this album. It's perfect.
I would change one. I actually would, if I could go back in time and change anything about this album, I would just get them access to higher quality recording reel-to-reel tape, because there are definitely certain points in this where you can tell that they cheaped out on the tape and it made some of the sounds unrecoverable, even with all the modern technology we have. I mean, maybe the thing that's coming out next month will change what I'm saying, but like, I think it is I Wasn't Made for These I Just Wasn't Made for These Times has a bit where he's like, where can I turn? Where you can hear it peaking and it's like breaking the signal almost because it's so much at once. But unlike the Beatles went out of their way to get the highest quality tape possible for the time period. And when this album was made, their manager was their abusive dad. Murray Wilson was his name. So he was a cheap bastard who was also siphoning money for himself and didn't actually give a shit about the music. It was just more about putting money in his pocket and exploiting his children and relatives into making that happen for him. So on that upbeat note, that concludes our days-long discussion of the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. Jordan, would you recommend the album?
I certainly would. And we should also mention that the runtime of this album is like a quarter of the time that this podcast episode is. So, easy to digest.
I thought you were gonna say like you can listen to the album like 4 times in a row back to back, and
you could, and you still wouldn't be done this podcast.
Yeah. Well, especially not because we're gonna go another 30, 20, 45 minutes on this. This is a fake outro.
Fake outro.
This was a prank.
We're going
on Jordan.
right back to the beginning.
We're never going to talk about the G.G. Allen documentary. We're only talking about Pet Sounds.
And we'll never see Greg's pimple.
No, because I would have to consent to that, and I don't. Okay, and you need to respect that. So,
well, we'll be talking about consent in our next episode.
I guess that's true. So look forward to that. Go listen to Pet Sounds. If you don't like it, there's plenty of bridges that you could jump off of, I guess. But, make sure you get one tall enough to where the impact will actually, take you out. Because we don't need any people wheeling around with their broken legs like, ugh, I hated Pet Sounds so much. I tried to kill myself, but it didn't work.
Remember to like and subscribe. Comment in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.